Hello everyone. This video is about retail operations. In other words, it's all about opening a retail store. So whenever you plan to start up a business of a retail store, you will definitely think about which business to start, where to put up the store, how to set up the store, and so on. So, in this video, I'll be discussing with you about all the factors that goes into setting up of a retail store. So, let's start with the first topic, which is factors influencing retail store location. So, when you want to set up a store, what are the factors that you should consider? First and foremost, you'll be deciding upon the area where you want to set up the store. The area where you want to set up the store would be dependent upon the population that the store is going to cater to. This means that you have to understand whether the population is going to be always there. By population, we mean the people. So, are they all going to be there? Are they? Is it a residential population or is it a office going population? that is look that is going to be located near your store? Are they temporary people or are they permanent residents of that area, and so on? So you have to make a study of the people living in the area of your store, near the area of your store. The second factor about area would be the income level. What is the income level of the people who are staying near your store, near the proposed store? Are they the high income group people, or are they the middle income group people, or are they the low income group people? Now, when you analyze these things, you can understand what their purchasing power would be. So if it is a very low income group people, you cannot set up a branded store close to their residence, because there wouldn't be much opportunities for you to sell your goods to them. Whereas if it's a high income group section of population which is staying near your store, there is a great probability that they will come and purchase the goods from your store. So this is the reason why we make an analysis about the people's income level. The other thing that you have to look into while selecting the area is, what are the other businesses that are existing presently in that area? Which means that, are there rival businesses already existing, or are there related businesses existing in that area? Now, for example, if you want to set up a medical shop, you would check out whether there is a hospital nearby, which would increase the chances of your sales. And you would also look into the fact whether there are many more such medical shops over there, and if it is there, what are the chances for your success in such an area? So this is why we study about other businesses in a particular area. The next thing that we study in an area is about the transport facilities, which means that whether it is easy to bring goods to your stores from the suppliers. Similarly, is it easily accessible by the customers of your stores? Can the people who come to your store have adequate parking facilities, and so on? So when you select an area, you have to think about who are the people to whom you are catering to. What is the number of people, what is the number of people that is there in that particular area? What is their income level? Whether there are other businesses which are going to uh, adversely affect your business, whether there are related businesses with which you can capitalize on them, and whether there is adequate transport facilities, both from the supplier's point of view as well as from the customer's point of view. The next factor that should be considered while selecting a retail store location is the site. Should you open up your shop in a special market area, or should you open up a shop in a residential area? By special market, what is meant is, there are certain areas where certain roads in most cities are there which caters to a particular product or service. For example, in Bangalore, there is a street called as Avenue Road, where there are many bookshops available. So every next shop is a bookshop. So what happens in such a area is that if you don't if a customer does not find a product in a particular store, he may get it in the next two. But from the store's point of view, there will be a lot of competition, because so many people are coming over there and buying. So the footfalls may be quite less in each store. Now, the next decision that a retailer has to take is whether he needs to open up his shop in a residential area. In a residential area, there may not be many shops of the same type, so probably he can manage to have more footfalls in a residential area. But here also, when he decides to open up a shop in a residential area, he has to judge whether the people in that area would be requiring his product or not, because as I often tell in many of my classes, that you cannot go and open a milk booth in a jungle, because the animals are not going to come and drink milk. So therefore you have to make a proper selection of the site. That means whether you want to open up a shop in a special market area or in a residential area. Now, the next factor that has to be considered is the scale of operations. Scale of operations refers to the level at which the retailer would want to carry out his operations. This would all depend upon the amount of finance that he has and the managerial skills, as well as the managerial capabilities that he has. For example, if he does not have much money, he may start a small shop and gradually build it up. But if he has got a lot of money, he can invest a lot of capital into that, and he can employ a lot of people to manage his business. So it all depends upon the risk factors, the demand for the product, and so on. The next factor to be decided is the amount of capital that a retailer would be investing in his shop. Whenever a retailer decides to set up a shop, he would be required to have a lot of capital, because he has to pay the rental charges, the advance deposit for the shop if he's taking it on rent. If he's buying the shop, he has to invest that much more money into it, into the shop. He has to purchase stocks for the shop. Similarly, he needs working capital for running the operations of the shop. So he would look into how easily he can get this capital, whether banks and other financial institutions are willing to give him money, whether there are easy terms of credit available, whether government is going to help, whether there is subsidy available, and so on. The next factor that a retailer would consider is about the decoration of the shop. The retailer would want to have a proper layout and decoration of the shop, so that the customers who come to that shop find the shop to be very attractive and comfortable for shopping. So he should have a proper display of goods and keep it very attractive to attract more footfalls. The next factor that he has to consider is the selection of goods, which means that he should decide upon which goods he should start a business in. So, whether he wants to start a business in textiles, or whether he wants to start up a business um, relating to food. So, he has got to decide. This all depends upon the income level, habits, and taste of the customers in the area. Now, another factor which influences retail store location is the sources of supply. Now, the retailer should be very confident about the suppliers from whom he's acquiring the goods, because if the suppliers are not reliable, this can endanger his business. So he has to look for the reputation of the supplier, look at the past history of the supplier. He has to understand whether the supplier is going to supply the goods regularly, and the terms of credit are good, the quality of the goods are good, and so on. Whether the he has also got to find out how much distance or how much far away is the supplier from his place, because the more the distance, the more will be the cost of the product, and so on. And lastly, the retailer has to adopt a suitable sales policy. This is important because unless he plans for a proper sales policy, he wouldn't be able to increase his sales and profits. So, this should be decided keeping in mind the competition as well as the customers. So, these are the factors which influence retail store location. And with this, I stop for the moment. In the next video, I'll be talking to you about market area analysis.